You are listening to the When Love is a Lie video blog and podcast. Today we're talking about narcissists and the art of future faking. So let's get started. Hey everybody, Zari Ballard here. Welcome to my When Love is a Lie podcast, where we discuss anything and everything having to do with narcissism in relationships. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The When Love is a Lie video blog podcast is produced twice a week for your enjoyment, and show articles can be found at my blog, the narcissistic personality.com. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow me on Twitter at Zari Ballard, and soon to be Facebook. All links to blog, books, and social media will be listed in the show notes. Now let's get into the show. Okay guys, today we are going to be talking about narcissists and the art of future faking, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with if you've spent any length of time with a narcissist. I'm going to read a little bit from my blog, an article that I wrote, one of my most popular ones actually. It's called Narcissists and the Art of Future Faking. Calling out a narcissist as a pathological liar is not as important as pinpointing the type of lying that he does that really cuts us to the core: future faking. By this, I mean that the narcissist talks about or hints at a future together to get what he wants from us right now. Indeed, his innate ability to future fake is probably the narcissist's most effective tactic for managing down our expectations, and the biggest reason why we stay in a relationship that is obviously so bad for us. In other words, it's the depth and the breadth of the lie that we become tethered to, because it speaks to our heart's desires, to what we have wanted all along. The narcissist, of course, knows this, and thus will use his knowledge of our heartfelt desires to string us along until the end of time. It's the part of the narcissist pathological relationship agenda that lends itself to the fact that there is no boundary that a narcissist will not cross to get what he wants in the moment when he wants it. Now, mind you, what I'm talking about here goes far beyond the periodic broken promise, because a periodic broken promise can be easily forgiven when followed by a promise kept. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the perpetual broken promise that carries the illusion of a promised future. It's these types of broken promises that hurt the most, because the lie itself is intensified by the authenticity of the way it is presented. The narcissistic lover will spin us a future via promises containing all the words that we want to hear. They'll spin us a future via mirroring back to us all the things that we want from the relationship. They get us to stay, or to come back, or to wait for them to come back, by faking a future with us that ultimately never happens. Future faking is so much worse than ordinary lying, because it shows how much of a pretender extraordinaire the narcissist really is. For the first few years of my 13-year relationship, I made it very easy for my ex-boyfriend to future fake that he barely had to say a word, and he knew it. If he even alluded to doing something together in the future, I'd ride that fucking wave of hope right up to the shoreline, where he would slap me off my surfboard. Up until that point, of course, he'd have gotten whatever he wanted, which was usually to stroll back in after several weeks of silence with no repercussions or questions asked, or to have sex not after but during a fight, or to distract me from catching him in a lie. For all of the above, he had no problem saying whatever it took to get the job done. Eventually, I grew defiant and combative whenever he even mentioned a future event, because I knew it would never happen. But that didn't stop him from future faking, because to deliberately deceive me was just too much fun. So here are some of the ways that a narcissist will use future faking to keep us in his queue of narcissistic supply. Future faking during the idolized, this is number one, future faking during the idolized love bombing phase to make us think that this person really wants the same things that we do in life. This type of future faking creates what I call the soulmate effect. Example: oh my God, that's my favorite band too. Look, they're coming in 4 months. I'll get some tickets. It's a date. Or, you know, from the moment I saw you, I just knew we were going to be together for a really long time. Or I can't believe we like all the same things. I've never had that with anybody. You are the one for me. Number 2, future faking as a hoovering technique, but only when we've had enough and have finally gone no contact. Since a narcissist can typically lure us back with mere crumbs, future faking is the emergency backup in his bag of hoovering tricks. Example, by phone. No, don't hang up. I want to get married. Or by text. Hey, it's me. Look, I'm sorry. Let's live together. Or in person. Wait, look into my eyes. Can't you see how much I love you? I want to grow old together. Number 3, future faking to end a fight. If in the middle of a fight, the narcissist feels as if he may be losing, he'll typically toss out some future fakery to get you to relinquish control. Example, okay, look, can't we just stop this nonsense and just get married or something? Future faking as part of conversation. Narcissists, as we know, thoroughly enjoy hearing the sound of their own voice, and consequently will future fake just to keep the conversation going. Example, hey, I've been thinking that you could really help me start my business. What do you think? You want to do it together? Or, remember when we talked about France a while back? I think it's time we start planning for that trip. The idea of writing about future faking was actually provided to me by a lovely woman who, during a phone consult, lamented the fact that her narcissistic ex would continually make meaningful plans and then vanish into thin air. Shortly before the final discard, during one of those peaceful moments we all have, he'd even urged her to start planning for a trip to Paris for the following year, something they had both expressed an interest in doing together over the years. Excited, she went to work making the plans, researching the details, getting ready for what would undoubtedly be a trip of a lifetime. The fact that this was his idea and that he appeared excited gave her hope that he actually meant it. That despite his ridiculous and unexpected silent treatments, he obviously intended to be around for the future, for the trip. Unfortunately, this was not to be, when, shortly thereafter, over something ridiculous and unrelated, he simply vanished, never to be heard from again, as if the plans were never made. To her, obviously, this was devastating and hard to wrap her head around. When I labeled his behavior future faking, she was shocked by the fact that, here again, was another universal behavior so typical of the narcissistic personality that there was actually a term to describe it. I remember feeling that same shock. It's the kind of shock that prompts us to review and relabel so many moments from the relationship. It's the kind of shock that makes us shake our heads in sadness, wondering why the hell we allowed ourselves to stay in the relationship beyond perhaps not the first, but at least the second time that it happened. Seriously, how many futures need to be faked before we realize that fakery is all it's ever going to be? When does it become time to reconcile the blame? In my case, the answer to that would have to be thousands, or 13 years worth, or whatever number the last faked future was before he never came back. In all honesty, it took me years to not realize, but rather accept, that my ex's ability to future fake was just that, an ability, and that he never ever planned to follow through with anything that took place in a future time beyond, say, the next 10 minutes. I had realized plenty before that, but coming to a point of acceptance was a whole other thing. To accept that the person we love is a future faker means realizing and accepting the reality that this person is not normal, and nothing about this behavior is acceptable. There are people in the world who mean what they say and say what they mean. But the narcissist that we know is not one of them. Hindsight may be 20/20, my friends, but let's be grateful that it happens at all. What happens after that is up to us, and all we can do is the right thing. I want you to think about that. A relationship where we have to wonder whether or not the person that's talking to us is telling us the truth, that they're actually going to be there to go through with the plan or make a plan or do whatever it is that they say they're going to do. It's not sustainable. It's just not. It's not. It's not going to get any better. If they can't keep a small plan, if they can't show up when they say they're going to show up, if they can't take you somewhere where they say they're going to take you, if they don't get those tickets when they say they're going to get those tickets, if they act like they did it, they said it, or they didn't say it, like as if they never said it, it's a future fake. And a future fake can be many things. It can be about marriage. It can be about kids. It can be about moving in together. It can be about anything. But see, the empath or the normal person wants to believe it. Because as normal people, it's not abnormal for us to want to believe that the person that we love, that we're sleeping with, that we're going to marry or are already married to, is telling us the truth. Okay? We want to believe that. And it's normal to want to believe that. So we can't wrap our head around the fact. I mean, but what's the alternative to that? The alternative to that is to go around automatically assuming that everyone's lying. Right off the bat. And it's just not, it's not the way the world works. It really isn't. And people need to mean what they say and say what they mean. And for guys, they need to be men of their word. And a narcissist is none of that. I'm not saying that the narc doesn't mean what he's promising in the moment, okay? It's real possible that he does. But see, it's what happens beyond that. The narc can't hold it. He can't hold the feeling, hold the thought, hold the promise for longer than he's standing right in front of you. And once he's gone, it's out of sight, out of mind. And they'll deny they even said it. And you can't live like that. You can't, it got to the point in my relationship where I couldn't even make plans. There was nothing to look forward to because I was pretty sure that it wasn't going to happen. And then when you start bucking that, then you get accused of being very negative. Okay? And, who wants to be negative? You don't want to be that way. So decide what you're looking for. We need, in this world, we've got to live an authentic life, okay? It's all about living an authentic life. Some wise girl named Becky told me that. If you liked what you heard, be sure to share with your friends on your forums, social media, and Facebook pages. And be sure to connect with me on Twitter, soon to be Facebook, and at my website, thenarcissisticpersonality.com. My books are on Amazon, available in paperback and Kindle download, iTunes, and Barnes & Nobles. I will see you next time. This is Zari Ballard, and this is the When Love is Alive video